It is America's most beloved pastime. When the weather gets cold, millions gather around their televisions to cheer on their favorite football teams. They spend billions on game tickets and memorabilia. But while the teams score big, often taxpayers lose. The National Football League is projected to generate $9 billion in revenue this season. Yet for decades, the NFL has enjoyed a tax-exempt status.
The NFL is exempt from federal and state corporate income tax under Section 501c6 of the federal tax code.
The teams are for-profit entities and pay taxes, but the league, which sets the rules, negotiates contracts, disciplines players, and comes up with a programming schedule, does not.
Of course, it's assisting the 30 teams or the 32 teams in making profits, but it itself is not a profit maximizing or profit-making organization.
The purpose of a trade association is to promote the interests of an entire industry and not just one group or company. Using that logic, the NFL should be promoting football in general and not necessarily only the 32 professional teams.
One of the big issues is that organization promoting the entire industry or the entire profession, or are they only promoting a subset of that? And there are many cases and rulings in cases that I've been involved in where the IRS says, no, it's too narrow. It's not broad enough to justify C6 exemption. To me, when you look at the NFL, it does seem to be very narrow.
Another sticking point, employee salaries. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell made a whopping $30 million last year. But we only know that because as a tax-exempt entity, the NFL is required to report its employees' salaries.
Major League Baseball forfeited its nonprofit status back in 2007, reportedly because changes to the tax code were going to force the league to disclose how much it was paying its executives.
RT reached out for comment on multiple occasions to the NFL. All requests were denied. Sports fans and non-sports fans alike are starting to blow the whistle on the NFL.
Well, I've always been a fan of the Saints.
Linda Woolward is an enthusiastic NFL fan, and yet she started a petition on change.org to end the organization's nonprofit status.
But there's been cities that subsidize their stadiums, but then they get their games blacked out. So to me, I was trying to think of a way to really give the fans a voice.
So far, 300,000 people have signed on to the petition, enough to fill a sports stadium. Linda says it's time for the NFL to start listening to its fans.
The fans are all very devoted to their teams, but it seemed like a sort of a way to push economically against the league, to say you're a nonprofit. There's not really any good reason for you to be a nonprofit, so maybe the Congress can look into that and change that status.
Earlier this fall, Senator Tom Coburn introduced a bill that would effectively strip the NFL of its nonprofit status, but lobbying dollars are a blitz on legislative actions. The NFL spent almost $2 million on lobbying efforts last year alone. It looks as if this tax-exempt status is a political football no one wants to touch. In Washington, Meghan Lopez, RT.